Could you be successful socially if you were dressed like trash? Could you be successful socially if you're flat broke? Could you be successful socially if you were a drooling loser who lives in his parents' basement? Could you do that?
I'd take like eyeliner and I'd give myself a fake black eye. I'd do the Harry Potter thing on my forehead, and I would draw all over my arms and just go out and act totally normal. It looked like,
Pure win. The reason why I jumped in with that kind of ridiculous opener is because I feel like whenever we address this in any way, people will distort what it is that we say. So we'll say, you can get great social results no matter where you're at in life. And then people distort that to say that we are encouraging people to be losers and get social results. And we're not doing that. Look, the reality is you can be very, very rich and have bad social results. You can be jacked in the gym and be broke. And you can be amazing at getting social results and be broke and be out of shape. That's just the reality. And the reason why it's so important to understand this is because if you believe that you have to get your life together to get social results, what's going to wind up happening is you will get your life together, which is good, but then eventually what's going to happen is at some point you're going to have a bit of a lull. Right, so I've had it to where I thought by getting in my best shape, my social results would improve. So I did that. I was like super keen to the gym, getting in great shape, and then my social results went up. And all the time I was saying, it's because I'm in shape. Oh, it's just getting better and better being in shape. Or I'd make a lot more money. Maybe I do my first $1 million launch, and I say to myself, oh, I made my first $1 million. Finally, my social results will go up. And funny enough, they did go up. But here's the problem. My social results also went up every single year that I worked on them. So what would happen is maybe later I'd make a bit less money and my social results still went up. Maybe later I'd start getting a pot belly back and my social results still went up. And they always went up because the common denominator of social results improving is working on your social skills. And the longer that you've been in it and the more years that you've been working on it and going out and meeting new people, the better that your results get. And the simple reason why is it's not rocket science. Go, have fun with people, be confident. You don't need to be James Bond or the perfect person to get social results. So the reason that I started with that kind of off-the-wall opener is because I do feel that when we've taught that, it gets distorted. And what winds up happening is people say that we're encouraging people to do badly. That's not accurate. We actually run a full-blown self-development company, and we teach many different areas of personal growth. All that we're saying, it's just a little tiny nuance, is that they're not as connected or synergistic as you think. We have seen directly that sometimes when our lives are a mess, our lives are a wreck, the one thing that we can do is go crush it at the club, or go crush it at a place out here, or go meet new people, or go have a blast. It's the one thing that when you're unhealthy and broke, you probably still can do for free. And once you understand that, that is not the ultimate goal in life, is to be a loser and still get social results and then use that to medicate it, but rather it becomes a foundation to where you can zero in and focus on social skills specifically and realize that that is the foundation of your social results.
Yeah. You really examine that James Bond-like conditioning, right? It's like the classic stereotype. People think this. It's like, well, to be good socially, I better, one, have a fancy suit. I better get in really good shape. I better have the perfect things to say. I better have enough, money to have the perfect car, to go out and just show that bling. And only then, once all that happens, will I start seeing results. And what happens is, number one, those things, although great, by all means, go make money, go crush it, right? Live that epic life, but do it for you. Those things that are meant to be goals for you become barriers of entry. This is key. Things that are meant to inspire you and excite you, you take them and you create this little wall. It's like, let me take the money goal and let me use that as a brick. Let me take the looks goal and use that as a brick. Let me take the lifestyle, the friends, the travel goal, and I'm gonna build this wall between me starting to take action and actually getting amazing social results. No. Go for those things, but don't use them as bricks in a wall, okay? And I remember it can shock people too, right? When I first moved to LA, this is over a decade ago, I was flat broke. I wasn't necessarily in the best shape. I would go out, I would drink a lot, I would smoke. I wouldn't really shower or bathe. My clothes were sometimes months, right, without washing them. And there I am, this broke.
That's where you live too.
Oh yeah, I was living in not the safest area of Los Angeles.
Not the safest area. In other words, basically the hood.
Literally the hood, where I'd walk out, and I remember driving to work. Right, I worked at the coffee bean.
What your car looked like?
So my car would break down like all the time. I'd have to heat it up for 15 minutes before even leaving, or the engine would just die. And I would take this car to drive up to the Coffee Bean, which is like a Starbucks, and I would just serve coffee. I was a barista. That was the lifestyle. Barista, broke, dirty, living in the hood, to the point where I'd go out in the morning and I'd heat up my car and I'd have to wait 15 minutes. And this is like 5 a.m., right? Like about to open the shop. And I remember looking around like, I'm gonna get shot, like hiding inside, like kind of looking around, letting the car heat up and then run out and just bounce.
We even drove to Phoenix in that car with no air conditioning, and it was like almost like we're gonna die, like in the middle of summer. There's no excuse is the point, but continue.
Yeah. But with that, right, you'd think, a lot of work for that young lad, right? A lot of things to kind of get in check before any kind of social results. Wrong. From that foundation, I didn't use that as an excuse. I was still working on it, but I did not use it as an excuse to improve my social skills. And I went out and I managed to work my way up to the best venues. I would be hanging out with celebrities. I'd be hanging out with rock stars. And I would be literally at the center of the show. You'd think, hey, if we're just hanging out in a group of people, it's me, actual rock star, like famous rock star you definitely know of. Next to me, bunch of people, the rock star is probably gonna take the show, right? The status, the fame. No.
Nope.
Little 21-year-old me with the stinky shirt, working at Coffee Bean, just crushing it. Okay, there really is no excuse. So audit here, right? Are there any goals that you might have turned into bricks in the wall? Are there any barriers of entry? Like, well, only then, right? Only then will I take action. Or are you jumping in now, and while working on your social skills for you, yes, go accomplish those goals. But this is the second key point. Do it for you, right? Track where your investment is going, because here's the other trap. Say you were to accomplish those things, right? I'm gonna make the money, got the looks, finally I'm ready. Because you put all that work in to finally be ready socially, it actually turns you into this really needy person, because you're like, well, better get a return on that time and energy investment. Do you like me? Do you like me? Right? And then you might even use that and really try to highlight it, and it comes off as really needy. You're like, well, do you see the fancy clothes? Oh, do you see the James? Do you know James Bond? Showing the photo. It's me now. Do you like it? And everyone's just like, way too try hard, way too needy.
You're actually over invested into the approval of the other person because you did that for the other person's approval, and that caused you to give away your power. And it's happened to me plenty.
Yeah, so that's the big one here. It's like, are you doing it for you and your own enjoyment, or are you doing it so that one day I'll finally be able to display all that and get those James Bond results?
The next thing we're going to go into is why there's so much resistance around this idea. And I'm going to even talk about some of the criticism of this idea. And the reason why I want to explain this to you is because we have chosen not to spread this message much more, simply because it's so controversial for most people to hear this that we basically would have to spend the rest of our lives just hammering people and just smacking them to say, wake up, and we're just bored of doing it. Like, I don't know how you feel, but like, I'm just at a point where I'm like, if you don't want to hear it, like we've told you, if you don't want to hear that, that's your problem at this point. But I'll say this, a lot of the confidence coaching and social coaching that I've seen since we have not been as active in social coaching has been geared more towards like, get rich, get in shape, get your whole life together, and then get the results. And look, again, highly inspiring, very positive message. Amazing message. Sometimes I almost wish that I would buy into that a little bit more, because maybe I'd have even more money now, and maybe I'd have a personal trainer right now. So I think that what happens is that on some level, people get angry about this message because they feel like it had been motivating them to do good things for themselves, right? Like at a primal level, with every pump in the gym, or every day of food deprivation, eating healthy.
Fantasy of like social life, good social life soon. Every pump, do it for the social life.
Yeah, and then we come in and we ruin it. And we're like, you're a total loser. You don't need to do that at all. We will run laps around you 7 days a week. There might be 1 to 2 days a year on our worst day that we're not going to run laps around you. And what you're doing is not going to get you the social results that you think. Now, maybe then they can kind of put that back to say things like Bumble or Tinder, to where maybe something immediately visual can, of course, have an impact. But as far as meeting somebody out in real life, just like straight up real life meeting and talking to people, the energy that you're putting out and the social skills that you have, in our experience, has been the major factor.
Yeah.
And so I think what happens is that people get frustrated by this because they say to themselves, well, you're killing my vibe here. You're killing my motivation. Like, I feel like kind of putting it all together just is so powerful and fun and so on and so forth. And then what they do, and this is flawed logic, is they come back around and they say, you guys say this because you teach social skills courses. But guess what? Would it not be better when we have great friends like Ty Lopez, Brandon Carter, and so many other incredible friends. So I'm missing some friends, so they're gonna be mad, but just suffice to say, so many incredible friends who we can do affiliate deals with, who we love to promote, and who are great people, and who we admire, and who we learn from. Wouldn't it be better for us to simply say, you know what you really need to be good socially? Everything. You need everything. So here is my new friend to teach you how to make money. Here is my new friend to teach you how to get fit. And don't even think about getting a significant other or having a fun social life or meeting new people until you got the money and until you're fit. Don't even bother and just spend, spend, spend.
Well, not just that, but we could also, on top of affiliate deals, create all these different programs where it's like, while you're making the money, here's the social skills program for the broke person. Here's the social skills program for the old person, the young person, the non-fit person. We could literally have so many more products out there financially. If that's all that it was like, let's just get the money, that would be the route to go.
I'm a millionaire, everyone. I'm ready. Look, I sucked in my gut. I'm jacked. Look, yeah, I'm ready, everybody!
That is the fantasy. It's like one day you'll just be able to do nothing. It's just like, look, display the achievements, and it'll happen. But this is another key concept.
That's what we do when we go out.
It's display.
Millionaire! Millionaire!
But do examine, right? It's like, where's your information coming from? Because you might be thinking, well, that's not true. This other book said that. Okay, not academics. This isn't from some book. This is real life. Go test it out and see. And then here's another key concept when it comes to socializing. A vibe that people just love is being loose and being carefree. If you put all that investment in, again, the looks, the money, so on and so forth, it just adds this heaviness. It actually boxes you in to the point where you don't even want to do anything to shatter that image. It's like, I must be James Bond, I must be James Bond. And it's just very heavy, very robotic. And here is a great thing you might have experienced already. You might have it where, say you go out and, I don't know, you do something a little bit embarrassing, right? This is something I would have, funny enough, clients do, where it's like, hey, if you're too serious, do a quick push-up right now. And they do a push-up and they're like, oh, people saw that. But funny enough, by doing the push-up and doing something that shatters that serious James Bond image, they suddenly felt a sense of freedom. You might have experienced this, like, well, no chance of being cool now, let's just let go. And it's that looseness, that freedom, and that fun that comes from it that draws people in, that we're all after. No one wants to be around someone who's like super serious, because then that rubs off on them. They're like, do I have to be serious too? Or again, really needy, like, look at the achievements. They want someone who's fun, who's carefree, and that's the right foundation. And then, of course, as we keep saying, for you, not for other people, for you, yes, go crush it in life. Yes, but only for you, and compartmentalize that where there's social skills and there's all that for you, but not tying it into social skills, thinking that that's where the results come from.
Yeah, and keep in mind, we are not going to bang this drum that much harder. I'm sure every so often we'll bang this drum, but it's not even in our advantage to bang this drum. And as we stop banging this drum, you're going to see more and more of the other way of talking about it come out. And I'll tell you why, too. There's a reason why specifically. Because if you teach a program where you say it's all connected, that's more profitable. But second of all, it alleviates you from having to actually show your social skills specifically. So if I'm a coach, I can say, no, it's kind of like this sort of combined thing. It's kind of more holistic, and I don't have to actually visually demonstrate my skills to you. So you're going to see more and more of that. And from our perspective, we've told you, you could either go out and try and see it for yourself, or you can sit at home and be a crybaby, and that's on you. But it's not for Julien or myself to sit here for the next 30 years saying the same thing again and again and again. We've proven it to you for many, many years. It's up to you. You can take it or leave it. Take it or leave it. Okay, take it or leave it. But just remember this. People will honestly do anything. They'll say anything to avoid the fear of just walking up and saying hi. And they will create any possible impediment they can to avoid that process. And I cannot tell you how many clients we have who will hit us up privately for one-on-one help. And these are guys that say, I'm 45, I've got a business, I'm doing 9 figures a year, and I thought there'd be somebody waiting for me with open arms at the end of the journey. And there just isn't. I can't tell you how many people who are just so jacked and ripped and classically good looking, and they will come to us and they'll say, I thought that when I did steroids, that at the end of that, I'd have all the success, and they don't. And by the way, there's also people that take steroids, are super rich, and very successful socially, and that also exists. And to be fair, they do that as ego reinforcement, and it does help them. So what we're gonna do next is show you where that people are being helped by that. They're actually getting some help from it, but it's not help in the way that you think it is. It's very, very counterintuitive, and while they are getting help with it, they're also leaving open a very, very vital vulnerability. So the main reason that you'll see people struggling when they believe that they need to hit a certain financial benchmark to have social success, or a certain fitness benchmark to have social success, the main reason why that is that the mind is always wiring its own synaptic pathways and its own paradigms and belief systems. And if you're always saying, I'll have social success when, 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 and this is looping in your mind, with each weight in the gym, eventually, and you're doing that, it wires up the synaptic superhighways in the mind to where you will loop on this consistently. This is sort of a weird thing most people don't get. Something like 90% of your thoughts in a given day are basically just the same thoughts as previous days, but in slightly different order. And then you think that you're the one that's having the thoughts, but most of it's actually autopilot. And this is why we talk so much about getting out of the autopilot haze. So the more that you keep saying to yourself, I'll be good enough when, and doing that over and over and over, the more that you're basically just like kind of like a donkey with a carrot hanging in front of it, like if you're driving a dog, you put a little carrot in front of it, and you're just like, and you just keep doing that. You wind up like that, and you can even see this to where and this is getting really out there, but the general paradigm of consumer culture, just in general, is you're not good enough. Buy this thing, yada, yada, yada. And they keep you on that hamster wheel for the rest of your life. And look, I enjoy consumer culture. I think it's cool to have a fat crib and cool clothes and buy cool things and drive a cool car. I love all that stuff. Again, people, they always try to distort this and we're saying not to get that somehow. We're not saying that. All that we're saying is the reason why you do something is your core foundation. And so what winds up happening is that basically about 99% of my friends that are rich are not successful socially. 99% of my friends that are jacked are not successful socially. It's like 99% of them. So yeah. I've been involved in all sorts of entrepreneurs group. Julien is as well. A buddy of mine invited me to Davos this year. Let's put that in context. That's some crazy, crazy stuff. I promise you, if I go to Davos, how many of the people, and that's a place where I'm pretty angry at a lot of people there, but the point being, how many of those people are actually at a point where they're having tremendous social success? How many people even from Davos? Or how many people from Gold's Gym, there's the famous Venice Gold's Gym over there, that we would drag out here or drag to a venue or a party or a bar or club would actually understand how to socialize? I would predict about 99% of them do not. It is truly that they have optimized for money, they have optimized for fitness, and that is the only point that we're making, is what you optimize for tends to be the result that you get. So what winds up happening, however, there is a counterexample. I have seen some people who do get successful, and you'll actually see that the money they have or their physical shape does actually fuel their confidence. And I see people like that, and I see some online. Some of them I think are hilarious, some I think are, do teach good stuff. And frankly, look, any course is let's get some money, let's get fit, let's get better socially. That's a great course. I'm not taking away from it. I actually think it's kind of cool. I think some of those people have great sense of humor. I'm not taking away from it. But what you'll notice is, they'll say things like, why would I care? Look at my watch. Why would I care? Look at my car. It's a bit like that movie Spring Breakers. He's like, look at my stuff. Look at my stuff. It's kind of like that. And it's funny, that guy's on Spring Breakers, hilarious. But just for your own sake, not to be a self-parody, and it's fun to enjoy that, and I have friends like that, and I love these guys. I love these people, great friends. I love people from all walks of life. I'm not perfect, Julien's not perfect, but I'm just trying to give you accurate information, and Julien's trying to give you accurate information on how to do your best socially. And what we're saying is, what'll happen with these people a lot is that when they have, let's say they go through a financial recession, let's say they have a health crisis, let's say that a bunch of their friends blow them off, let's say they go through reputational damage, can they be successful socially? And what happens is, it's like this house of cards that gets destabilized, it chops them at the knees. Let's say they just get older and wrinkly, can they still be successful? And what we've had is, because we've, been in kind of like a very off-the-wall industry and whatnot, we've certainly had our ups and downs with the business, with our health, getting out of shape under stress, having to work too much, having it to where, reputational damage, all that stuff. But yet every week, we've got to go and we've got to be able to actually demonstrate great social skills. And as somebody flew in from Europe, they don't care that either of us had a personal crisis. They don't care. They want to see what's up. They want to see your results. So as a result of that, we have to be at a point where it's like being like just like a pit bull or a tank. Nothing will stop you. Nothing will stop you. Just win. That's it. So what I would say to you is like, yes, it's a great challenge to get super jacked and make money and have good social results. But as an alternate challenge, why don't you try, almost like Marcus Aurelius, when he would practice being homeless for a day or broke for a day. I don't remember the exact story, but something like that in the idea of Stoicism. Why don't you actually practice like going out in the worst clothes ever? You know, starting conversations with the most ridiculous and dumb conversation starters ever. You know, challenge, you know, don't take a shower and go out and challenge yourself. Again, this gets distorted to, you know what they teach? That's what it gets super warped out of control by people who frankly do not have what it takes to go out and be successful in spite of those things. So then they take what we're saying and they warp it, right? So in the same way that you might see somebody training, and let's say it's a sprinter, and they might put, you know, it's Usain Bolt, he'll put on things that give him resistance when he shoots forward to train. Why don't you try training like that? And what you'll find is, and Julien's about to get in this next, is super duper key. What you may find is, weird, and this is where it gets very, very weird. What you find is, when you actually put a handicap on yourself, weirdly, you often do even better. And it's because you've kind of gone outside your ego and you feel like it almost doesn't count. Like you're like, well, it doesn't even count because like I'm dressed all stupid and I'm saying something dumb to start the conversation. It doesn't even count. And then ironically, because it doesn't count, you wind up doing better because you're not stuck in that stifling ego, self-image crap.
Yeah, it's like famous saying here, ego equals effort. Again, that heaviness. You can optimize as much as you want in that little ego area. It's not going to help. Do something that shatters it, that breaks it, right? And you'll see, oh, incredibly freeing. But more importantly, if you're someone who's like, I'll only be social when, right? I'll only be successful when, you want to take that finish line that you are conditioning yourself to believe is always in the future, and you want to bring it and put it behind you. You've now passed the finish line. Imagine that moment. It's like, oh, only when. Imagine it's right now. How would you feel? Take in that feeling. You don't need, once more, those external things to give you permission, because that's what happens, okay? There's this thing called the winner effect. You can read about this. It is crucial. And what you're doing is you're saying, well, once I have those things, only then will I feel like, you could say, a winner. The winner effect will happen, and it will give me permission to be confident. It's like, think of your confidence, right? Social confidence is to be in this little cage, and you're like, well, the keys is money. The key is good looks. The key is this lifestyle. The key is that. And only then. And you might experience, if this is you, little boosts where sometimes one of those little requirements is met, right? Maybe not in a big way, but in a small way. And suddenly it unlocks a little bit of that confidence. Guess what? You can unlock all of that right now by telling yourself, instead of me doing that, that's the goal. Place the finish line behind you. What if right now you are the goal? What if you've made it right now? Suddenly it all unlocks. Okay, and you can actually amplify this too as an external tool where just start collecting every win, every little win. Okay, so for example, even during this video here, in my mind, every word I'm saying, I'm like, yes, you crushed that delivery. Yes, you are awesome. Yes, you just did a little wave. Yes, you just did this with your hand. You made a fist. Yes, yes. Oh, I go say hi to someone. Yes, I said hi to someone. Just that, because here's what you also notice is you might say hi to someone, you're like, that's all I did. It didn't go as well. It could have been better. It could have been that. And you're just robbing yourself of just riding this wave of wins and just positive momentum. Okay, so yes, do something outside the box. Shatter it, right? Whatever you think is that criterion for success, move it back. See what happens. And you'll see that confidence will just unlock and you will crush it.
Imagine that you're training somebody on how to do bench press, and then they say, no, I can't do the bench press unless I'm rich. I can't do the bench press unless, you know, I have an amazing significant other. It's the same thing socially, and people will say otherwise all day who haven't gone out that much, they don't have results, or maybe they do have results, but they're basing it on a house of cards that could be shattered. End of the day, if you can't get social results when things aren't all in your favor, you just aren't good. Yep. That's it. You just aren't good. And people that are good don't need to have those things. People that are good socially have, you know, kind of been to war. And, you know, it's almost like when Tom Brady has to go play in the Super Bowl when he's been accused of all the BS of Deflategate, or maybe believe in it, whatever that is, right? Or, you know, maybe LeBron James, you know, he goes in the finals and he's, you know, down 3-1, and he's got to win against the Golden State Warriors. And even towards the end, he injures his hand a little bit, and he's still got to shoot 3 free throws, right? Like, I'm sorry to say, but like, winners win, losers lose. If you can't figure out how to get good social results when the chips are down, you're just not good. And if you can go through that process, realize that, frankly, a lot of the greatest lessons that you get are from going out socializing, maybe after a breakup when you're just crushed. Like many of my best epiphanies came from when I was just crushed from a breakup, going out like a withered flower, and weirdly, it forced me to have to look at the mechanics of social interaction while I didn't feel that good. Or, maybe things are chaotic in the business and I'm going out, like the last thing in the world that I want to do is to go out and I'm out there and I just feel like I'm in total chaos. I'm in Vietnam or something, and I've just got to kind of puff my chest up and go in there and learn how to make it work. And that's the bottom line. Winners win, losers lose. Yes, go make your money. I'm sure it's not lost on you that two people that have been involved in a 9-figure business are sitting there telling you, you don't need money. Go get healthy. I've been sick in 10 years. I believe in health. I hope to get in better shape. You know my point. Go do all those things. We by the way, we actually will bring in friends to help to make money. So, we're saying like, we could make money doing that. Funny enough, because we like money, we will do that. But we're never going to sit there telling you like, oh, what's up, bro? We're never going to sit there telling you like, oh, we're bringing our friend in to make money because like, people really like that. Yeah. And our friends come to help you get a six packs, they like that. And it doesn't mean that those things are unattractive. They're very attractive, but it shouldn't be the foundation of the house. That's all that we're saying. They're very attractive things. They're wonderful, but it should never, ever, ever be the foundation of the house. The foundation of the house is you. You are that foundation. You are collaborative. You are sharing good energy. You are a cool person. You are enough. Remember that now. Go out and try it. Don't take our advice. Don't take anybody else's advice. Just shut up and get out there and try. And if you feel tight and like, I can't, then shake that off. Maybe with some goofy exercise. And what you'll notice that when you get in that fun mode and can express freely and free associate freely, just like how we're doing this video, cracking jokes, being social, having fun, spreading good energy, teasing, being playful, having a cool place to go, and just loving life, you will find that your social results are magnetic, they are powerful, they go up, success is inevitable, and you are epic. So that is what we'll leave you with here today, and we'll talk to you soon.